Tim and Sid. Time for Tim and Sid. Time for Tim and Sid. Time for Tim and Sid.
Oh, yeah. It's time for real sports talk with Tim McLellan and Sid Sexero.
Thank you, Sheepdogs. Back for another half hour here on Tim and Sid alongside Basil Camiza. Tim gets set to call the Vanier Cup this weekend. We're with you until the bottom of the hour, 6:30 Eastern, when we'll send you to the Raptors pregame show, followed by the Raptors and Magic on Sportsnet and Sportsnet 1.
Later tonight, Oilers Sharks, some added intrigue in this one. Sportsnet Wizzy West, regional restrictions do apply. An interesting night in
Wizzy West.
All right, man. Ken Hitchcock is coaching the Oilers today. That's because Todd McLellan got fired earlier today. Here's what the key pieces in Oilerland had to say a little earlier.
There's still a lot of runway left in this year, and we felt that a new voice would be helpful, and certainly I'm not absolving myself of any responsibility on the player personnel, and this isn't just an indictment of Todd, or the players. I mean, this is a collective thing, and it's our job to get to the playoffs, and we owe it to our fans, and I felt this was the right move for it.
You know, it's tough to pinpoint what we need, but you know, we're all to blame here. You know, this obviously isn't on Todd at all. It's on us as players, and you know, that's just how the business works sometimes, and you know, we got to wake up here.
I know what is wrong, but it's not going to get fixed overnight. I've been through this once before, and I'm going to help it along, but it's not going to change overnight, but we can start taking some steps.
What a day down in San Jose again. The only game on the National Hockey League schedule tonight is Oilers and Sharks. It has become must-see TV. Mark Spector of Sportsnet.ca is down in the place to be, SAP Center in San Jose. Spec, good to see you. How you doing?
Doing great, boys. How are you?
All good. Let's start with the last clip we heard from the new head coach of the Edmonton Oilers, Ken Hitchcock. He knows what's wrong, but it won't be changed overnight. The feeling I got today after listening to Peter Chiarelli, Spec, is Hitchcock's kind of goal here is to get things going kind of overnight, because if they don't make the playoffs this year, Chiarelli's not going to be in that chair next season, is how I heard that.
Yeah, the reason this move gets made right now is because the playoffs, especially in a weak Pacific Division, aren't out of sight. Right? This team can crawl back in. They can get third place in the Pacific if they play better hockey. If Chiarelli waits much longer on this move and the team's out of it, then there's no point firing the coach, because he's going to probably get fired if they miss the playoffs. So you're right. They hire Hitch right now to make a dent in this thing right as soon as possible. And the one quote Hitch said today that's rung truest with me, guys, was when he said, look, I can get this team where it needs to go. I can get these players where they want to go. But they've got to buy into this thing, and it's not going to be comfortable. And that, to me, is Hitch in a nutshell. He's going to tell a lot of guys in orange uniforms a lot of stuff they don't want to hear, and almost all of it is going to be words they probably should hear.
What were the limitations then from Todd McLellan not being able to connect with that team and do exactly that? Because I imagine the motives were exactly the same. His plan, obviously, is to help the team win. What was wrong with that relationship?
You know what? Todd McLellan is an excellent coach. He'll work, you know, as soon as he wants to work. One of the top coaches in the league. This isn't a Todd McLellan thing by any means. I mean, this is a, you know, let's talk about some. Joel Quenneville was a fabulous coach when Patrick Kane when Jonathan Toews was a little bit younger, when Brent Seabrook was in his prime, when Corey Crawford was healthy, right? When Duncan Keith was one of the top 2 or 3 defensemen in the league. He was a great coach then. Now they're firing him, not because he changed as a coach, but because the players changed underneath of him. And Todd McLellan, I suspect, guys, would he be a better coach if he had Taylor Hall on his team? You know, would he be a better coach if he had Matt Barzal or Anthony Beauvillier, or maybe both of them? Those were the draft picks traded for Griffin Reinhart, who's in the minors. Would he be a better coach if Jordan Eberle or a reasonable facsimile was still here? That's what happened to Todd here. Todd is trying to win the Kentucky Derby here on a bit of a claimer at times, and it's time for Ken Hitchcock to take a run at that.
Spec, when did Peter Chiarelli, do you think, make the decision in his mind to do this? Was it Saturday in the that feisty affair on Hockey Night in Canada? Was it the Vegas result? Was it the fact Vegas then got blown out by Calgary last night? Like, what was the tipping point here?
Yeah, it was the last few games. Let's go back. They've lost 6 of 7. They lost a couple on the road back-to-back in Washington, Tampa, close games. Forget about those. Then they went down to Florida and were an absolute no-show. Then they came home, played the Colorado Avalanche. Absolute no-show. Everybody got a little worried at 2 performances like that. You play Montreal, you win. You play in Calgary. That's a good game. They play well. Then they come back against a Vegas team that's not very good, or not playing very well, I should say. And Edmonton no-shows again. So, listen, I don't think this was Todd McLellan's fault. Very, very little of it is he to blame for. But the time was right. It is time for a new voice. Todd McLellan is a good coach, but he's also run the gamut on this team. It's time for someone else to try.
There were some suggestions, Mark, that maybe if this team were to do anything, it was to get rid of both coach and GM and then just kind of, put 2 new pieces in place there. Is Peter Chiarelli still the right guy to help lead and orchestrate change on the ice? Because as you said, if it's not Todd McLellan's fault and it's the players that he's kind of dealt with, well, those players, that kind of falls on Peter Chiarelli's shoulders, doesn't it?
Oh, listen, your question is well met, and everyone in Edmonton is asking it, Faisal, right? Do you want Peter Chiarelli making the next big trade here? Let's call a spade. I can list off several small trades he's made that have actually been real good. I mean, he got Alex Chase on a PTO here. Kid's got 8 goals in Edmonton, but he's also got Milan Lucic on a $6 million free agent deal. He's got 2 goals his last 66 games. So, listen, I'm not. This isn't opinion. This is fact. Peter Chiarelli's trade record in Edmonton and many of his high-end acquisitions have not made the grade, and that is primarily why the Edmonton Oilers are where they're at today.
So Ken Hitchcock is there. Wasn't even there for the morning skate today. Glenn Gollison ran that. Ken Hitchcock is there. Who's going to become a better player potentially on the roster with Ken behind the bench? And who on the roster do you look at, knowing what you know of Ken Hitchcock, and you say to yourself, this guy's in trouble?
That's a good question. Let me answer this to a degree. My prediction will be that Connor McDavid will go the route. If Ken Hitchcock spends this season and maybe stays around, if he gets a real foothold here, Connor McDavid will go the route that Steve Yzerman went. He'll go the route that Mike Modano went. He'll probably get less points, but he'll become a better all-around player. And I think that's just fine because it'll come with wins. If this team's going to win, Connor McDavid might not win the Art Ross every year, but if he plays better and the team plays better, I don't think he'll care. I want to say I probably wouldn't want to be Ty Ratty, who's come here and has given it everything he's got to reclaim his NHL career. The problem was he spent the whole prior part of his NHL career in St. Louis where he could never make Ken Hitchcock's lineup. So he can't be loving this a ton. He's a better player now, and he's got a shot here, but he won't be loving it. And I'll say that any guy who's in it for himself, the guy that takes the dumb penalty, the guy that doesn't dig in and play physical in a physical game, even if that's not his nature, Ken Hitchcock demands everybody plays for each other, plays for the team. He'll beat you 2-1 every night, and he's fine with that. He doesn't care who scores. So you better, as Ken will say, dig in, because this will be a solid team effort if it's going anywhere.
How does Milan Lucic react to this?
I think how can it hurt? Coaching isn't Milan Lucic's issues at this point, gentlemen. There's a few things out there on Lucic we can straighten out here. He's in absolutely fabulous shape, and he wants to resurrect his career more than anybody. Like the guy, I see him every day. It's going crazy here, his lack of success. He can still skate in a straight line. He gets there for all the hits. He's, whatever he is today, 4th in the league in hits. But the problem that Milan Lucic has is he can't find his hands. He's not getting the redirection. He's not tipping any pucks. He's getting point-blank chances that are missing the net. No coach will fix that. More opportunity won't fix that. He's had plenty of scoring chances, gentlemen. It's not going in the net. Ken Hitchcock won't change that. Milan Lucic has to change that if it can be changed.
Do the Oilers have a goaltending problem?
Did you say goaltending?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, listen, there's another one. Like Todd McLellan's trying to coach a team. His starter's got an .888 save percentage. You know, Mikko Koskinen will start tonight in San Jose. He's stolen the #1 job. This is a guy that hasn't played in the NHL in 8 years. Absolutely a goaltending problem when you came into the season. Your #1's Cam Talbot. Give me any team in the league whose #1 has got an 888, gentlemen. Right? Calgary's rolled through Mike Smith. They're on to David Rittich. Carey Price's job's been in jeopardy. You know, all around the league. Braden Holtby's not playing on a lot of nights. You can't win when your starter's at 888. And Cam Talbot, he's like Milan Lucic. He's trying. He's giving it everything he's got, but it's not there right now. And he won't play a whole bunch if Koskinen gets on a roll here.
All right, Spec, after all of this, either they make the playoffs or they don't. Do you think this gets them to the playoffs?
Okay. Oh, boy, that's a tough prediction. I'll tell you what it's going to do. It always gives a team a first 10 games. It's going to give them a bump when they really need a bump.
Good point.
And the Pacific isn't very good. You know, they're going to. This is what I'll tell you. I'm not predicting what's going to happen in April, boys. Sorry, but what I will say is
cool.
This will buy them. This will buy them till New Year's in the hunt. And if Hitchcock can, during the time that you get, everyone sees it, every time there's a new coach, you get 10 or 12 games, everybody's in, everyone's great, then they go back to where they were. If during that 10 games Hitchcock can install a few tenets of the game into this club, they got a chance to be good from January on. But if this team tunes out Ken Hitchcock or the players don't buy what he's selling, then they'll be right back where they are come Jan 15.
What a day with the Oilers. Mark Spector of Sportsnet.ca joining us. Enjoy the game tonight, Spec. It's going to be fun.
Hey, only game in the league, so everybody watch.
Wipe the spotlight on that tonight. Thanks again, Mark Spector, live from San Jose.